First off, I want to say thank you to everyone who has watched part 1 of What Have Gone Within. As of right now, we have 70 something views, like 11 likes, and I am ecstatic for all the support. Follow me on Twitter so we can chat, talk. You can kind of stay up to date with what's going on with future parts and other videos. But with that out of the way, let's hop into part 2 of What Have Gone Within My Hero. And part 2 starts off with a banger because we are going immediately into the fight at USJ. Well, the incident of USJ. You're not familiar, you don't remember, this is when the League of Villains first attacks. And when they come there, they separate all of Class 1A. And I think when everyone gets separated, Gong ends up by himself. And in this, just like most of 1A, he's confronted by a bunch of fodder villains. And if you know what fodder means, you know what happens. Gong just kind of beats him up. I think he's really annoyed because his classmates are potentially being harmed, and he cares about his friends, and he wants to get to them as soon as possible. And he quickly finds his way to Denki and crew, which is Jiro, Denki, and Momo. I think he hears and sees Denki's quirk, his electricity, that he uses to disable the villains that they're going against. So he finds his way there, and I think this is where some things do change within the series, because normally Snipe saves them after Denki gets caught and becomes a hostage. But in this situation, I think that Gong actually finds them and saves them. The villain just not aware that Gong is there. Gong quickly kicks him, knocks him out. They capture all of the villains there. And this changes the situation of who all ends up being able to see the fight with All Might in the Nomus, because I think Jiro stays with Denki to make sure he's okay, because remember, he's stupefied. But I think Momo actually leaves with Gong and helps him search for other people, other classmates. And I think this is where they end up finding All Might fighting the Nomus. And I don't think this changes a ton of how the situation goes, but I do think with Momo being there, she kind of helps reel the classmates in who are there, who are pretty hot-headed, with it being people like Deku, who thinks things through, but kind of naturally hops into the fray of battle when he thinks it is needed. Shoto and Bakugo, who are both very confident in their own strength, and want to fight. I think Momo being there kind of helps tame them a little bit to use strategies. But again, I think that Nomu loses to All Might, and the only thing that really changes is that the classmates that are there actually disperse in search for other classmates to find, and everyone goes upon their way. The next part of the story, though, is obviously the sports festival. They have 2 weeks in between, and I think that Deku uses this time to train. I think watching All Might really motivates him to kind of use his own strength, because again, when you look at All Might, he's a physical brute. He is very strong, he's very fast, and that's all Deku really has. So I think he kind of models his way of fighting, not to copy All Might, but to use All Might as inspiration. The sports festival is broken down into 3 parts: villain robots, the fog, and the landmines. I think Gong flies through parts 1 and 2. Remember, Deku is able to take out the villain robots by himself, no quirk needed. So I think that the villain robots that Gong has already fought before and he was able to take out in a weakened state, he's able to take out even easier now, without the ability of Nin, his quirk in the series that he hasn't had access to yet. I think, though, that he makes an impression upon everyone who's watching, because he doesn't seem to be doing anything special, but people don't know if his quirk is just something like super strength. He gets to the fall, and he's super agile, and he makes cross very quickly. Remember, Gong is agile from growing up on the islands. He's running on the ropes and making his way across. I think it's easy, especially since this is in a competition where people are trying to fight each other while they're doing it. I do think that the landmines halt his progress a lot. He's not like Deku, where he thinks to use the explosions. He's just like everyone else there, making his way slowly past every single part. I actually think Gong gets caught up in a couple of explosions, just based off the fact that he's not thinking and he's rushing through as much as he can. And I think that's his downfall. And I think he ends up being in like 5th to 7th place. I think in the second part, which is the cavalry battle, that he actually ends up being manipulated by Shinzo, who understands that Gong is really agile, he's really strong, and will be very helpful for his team. And Gong, being as friendly as he is, he talks to Shinzo, not thinking or worrying about anything. He gets manipulated. They win. They're in the one-on-one part of the tournament. Now, unlike Ojiro, I think Gong stays in. I don't think he gives his spot up because Gong is really looking forward to this. He wants to do his rematch versus Shoto. He's so close with Deku that he wants to see how he thinks it'll be a fun matchup for him versus Deku. And just any of his classmates that he's able to go against, he thinks will be fun. And after watching Deku's first matchup, I think he's just eager even more to fight Deku and see what is really going to happen. Unfortunately, he doesn't fight Deku first, obviously. He fights Mina. With him fighting Mina, I think that her agility is on par with Gong's. Gong has more physical strength, but she has the range with her acid. I ultimately don't think that her agility or her mid-range attacks are enough to beat Gong. I think Gong gets in, he's able to get a hold of her, and he throws her out of the ring, not wanting to harm her. But it's a fun matchup to watch. It's a lot of dodging, a lot of quick movements, and it's something that the crowd loves to see. And I think that Gong is making a really good impression upon all the pro heroes there who are interested to see how they can groom him into being even a better hero. His second matchup is versus Tokoyami, and Tokoyami is really just kind of beating him. I don't think that Gong at this point has a way around Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow at this point in the story is one of the best quirks there. And even in the manga now, I think Dark Shadow is one of the best quirks in the series. And I think Gong wins, but not because Gong can outmaneuver or outpower Tokoyami. If you watch Hunter x Hunter and you remember his battle versus, I think his name is Hanzo, the ninja, Hanzo outbeats Gong in every facet of that battle, except for the fact of Gong's willpower. And if you remember, in the sports festival, you have to, I think it's knock your opponent out of the ring, or your opponent has to surrender. I don't think Tokoyami and Dark Shadow are able to knock him out of the ring because unlike the match versus Momo, who Momo was on the defensive, I think that Gong is on the offensive, so he's not able to push him out. I don't think he's able to knock Gong out because Gong is really durable. I do think that Tokoyami is not worried about losing, but I don't think he has the mental state to want to break Gong to a point of making him quit. And because of how mentally strong Gong is, he doesn't give up because it's hard. So I actually think Tokoyami gives up the match. I think he surrenders because there's nothing riding on this match. It is still a festival. So he gives up. Gong protests, but Tokoyami, being who he is, he ignores it. He just leaves the arena perfectly fine with where he placed during this festival. So the next matchup is Gong versus Bakugo, and I think Bakugo is looking past Gong. He's really looking forward to his match versus Shoto to truly test his gun, especially after seeing Shoto versus the Deku match. I think what ends up being Bakugo's issue is that he thinks he can quickly get rid of Gong in anticipation for Shoto. And he's seen that Gong likes to rush forward, and so to counter this, he actually blitzes Gong. Gong's a really good natural fighter though, and he kind of notices this from Bakugo, and he stays in place, hits Bakugo with a good kick. I think that at this point, Bakugo gets enraged, and he keeps a nice mid-range distance trying to, find an opening to get a very good blast in versus Gong to knock him out of the ring. Gong actually does something that he got from the Ochako match. But in a different manner, he has the strength to make debris fly into the air, and he actually destroys part of the stage, bringing up dust and debris. Bakugo thinking, I've already seen this before, you're not going to get me with the same trick, quickly gets rid of the debris, but adds more smoke and dust while doing so, which actually is what Gon was going for. He ended up concealing his presence completely, actually making Bakugo question himself because he doesn't feel any presence there. And for you wondering, well, he can't read aura or anything of this nature, have you ever just felt like you were being watched or felt like you were way too, like a area was way too quiet? I think that Bakugo's natural intuition actually plays a role here because he's such a natural combative person that he's pretty good with spatial awareness, and his spatial awareness is telling him that there's no one there. For you who have or haven't watched Hunter x Hunter, this is called Zetsu, which is actually an ability you can use with Nin that Gon has naturally picked up throughout his training on the island to conceal himself. So he's able to do this until Gon gets to what he thinks is the perfect striking spot. And this is where Bakugo feels a malice intent, kind of similar to what Ojiro felt after they lost versus Shoto at the end of part 1. Unfortunately for Gon, Bakugo's reaction time is out of this world for a high schooler, and he hits Gon with a giant blast, hitting him to the ground, rendering Gon unconscious. Gon somehow stands back up though, surprising everyone in the arena. And this is where Bakugo says she's going to finish the match. She blasts herself forward, only to be interrupted by Shimentos, and having MidNite come in saying that Bakugo is the winner. Everyone is confused, and this is when everyone registers that Gon really is unconscious and that he stood up on willpower alone. Gon is rushed to Recovery Girl, and he ends up being in 3rd place, and he's unconscious actually for the rest of the festival. Actually, this is the first time Gon is actually ever really in a medical facility. Growing up on the island, he just kind of always had natural ways of taking care of himself. He never really ever saw a doctor. And this is where things will start to get interesting in the story. So, if you're looking forward to part 3, hit the like button. Let me know down below what you think, how I can improve. And, yeah, again, I appreciate all of you who watched part 1 and have supported me so far. And I can't wait to give you part 3. I love you guys. Stay blessed up. I'll see you next time.